Donald Trump got absolutely crushed yesterday during an interview at the National Association of Black Journalists event. Now, a lot of people are saying, David, why is the race card being played? Why are people talking about black interviewer Rachel Scott and black interviewer Harris Faulkner? It sounds like you liberals are playing the race card. Well, it matters because this was an event at the National Association of Black Journalists. The entire context here is one where, despite claims from Trump that black Americans are flocking to him, in a recent Michigan poll, Trump got 0% of the black vote. It is highly politically relevant that this is an audience made up of black journalists. And the first question was absolutely wild. Trump hated it, and it only went downhill from here.
Hi, Mr. Trump. Rachel Scott, BBC. Thank you. How are you? Mr. President, we so appreciate you giving us an hour of your time. I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals.
This is like brutal right off the bat.
From Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question.
The crowd is already like, what on earth? This is going wrong instantly. He just opened his mouth.
Say hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country.
The crowd is in disbelief at what's happening.
Including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina.
It is beyond belief that this went so poorly. Now, there are right-wingers cheering this and saying he stepped into the lion's den and he did so well. I don't think so. If you watch the whole thing, I certainly don't think so. He continues to attack the interviewer.
If I came onto a stage like this and I got treated so rudely as this woman treated me.
Oh my goodness.
This woman. Wow.
Treated so rudely as this woman treated me.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm fine with it because she was very rude, sir. Very rude. That wasn't a question. She didn't ask me a question. She gave a statement. That wasn't a question.
I repeated your statement, sir, actually.
It was nasty to read my own statements back to me. And it only got worse from here. The topic of the January 6th rioters came up. Trump asked, would you pardon them? And he goes, sure, if they're innocent. To which Rachel Scott points out, well, they are definitionally not innocent because they've been convicted. And Trump's like, well.
Portland that destroyed
But sir, my question is on those.
What's going to happen to the people that tried to
those rioters who assaulted officers.
You have to ask,
would you pardon
what's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You would pardon those?
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just well, they were convicted by a very tough system. How come the people that tried to burn down Minneapolis, how come the people that took over a large percentage of Seattle, how come nothing happened to them? How come the people that... But sir,
we're talking about people that were seen beating officers with flagpoles, dragging them down the stairs. They're on video. Have you seen that video, sir?
Oh, really? Well,
you would pardon those rioters?
They shot a young lady in the face who was protesting. They shot her in the face. You know, nobody died that day. You do know that. But people died in Seattle. Nobody died, but people died in Minneapolis. You know people died in Minneapolis. And nothing happens, and nobody ever talks, and nothing happens to those people. But you went after the J6 people with a vengeance. And I'll tell you what about the cops that were, and I'm all for the police, as you know, but what about the police that are ushering everybody into the Capitol?
So this is not a great answer if you're on the side of law and order. And it was all like this, either tangential non-responses or attacks on the interviewers. Trump asked, is J.D. Vance ready on day one to be president of the United States? He would be a heartbeat away from the presidency as your vice president. And Trump basically says VPs don't matter. I mean, this is part of why we're wondering, is he done with Vance? Because every opportunity he gets to defend JD, he's kind of like, I don't know, he's a good guy, I respect him, but it doesn't even really matter.
And that's why this decision is important this time. Bad things happen, you said it twice. When you look at JD Vance, is he ready on day one?
Does he what?
Ready on day one, if he has to be.
I've always had great respect for him, and for the other candidates too. But I will say this, and I think this is well documented, historically, the vice president, in terms of the election, does not have any impact. I mean,
can you imagine? For everybody really worried that I picked a doofus, it's completely irrelevant who I picked.
Virtually no impact. You have 2 or 3 days where there's a lot of commotion as to who, like you're having it on the Democrat side, who it's going to be. And then that dies down, and it's all about the presidential pick. Virtually never has it mattered. Maybe Lyndon Johnson mattered for different reasons of what we're talking about, not for vote reasons, but for political reasons, other political reasons. But historically, the choice of a vice president makes no difference.
It's amazing. Could you defend your choice? Have you selected someone who could actually be president? It's completely irrelevant. What a ringing endorsement. My VP pick is completely irrelevant. Now, maybe most relevant to what's going on with J.D. Vance. Trump says he didn't know about J.D. Vance's Childless Cat Lady comments when he selected him as the VP, and that it's not something he even agrees with.
He said the Democrats running the country are a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices they've made. And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. He's not talking here about how great it is to be a parent. He's attacking what he says are the choices people are making to not have children. Did you know that he had these views about people who do not have children before you picked him to be your running mate? And do you agree with him?
No, I know this. He is very family-oriented, and he thinks family is a great thing. That doesn't mean he thinks that if you don't have a family, it's not. I know people with families. I know people with great families. I know people with very troubled families. And I also know people with no families. They didn't meet the right person. Things happen. You go through life, you don't meet the right person.
But he's not just talking about families here. He also says that people that don't have children should get less votes than those that do.
I'm just speaking for myself.
Is that your campaign
I think
position?
I'm speaking for him, too. He strongly believes in family. But I know people with great families. I know people
having to defend the crazy things that your VP running mate is going around saying is not a positive thing for your campaign.
With not great families that don't have a family, and the people without the family are far better. They're superior in many cases, okay? He's not saying they're not. What he's saying is that he thinks the family experience is a very important thing. It's a very good thing. But that doesn't mean that if you grow up and you grow older and you don't meet somebody that would be wonderful to meet and would have been good, that's a bad thing. He's not saying that. My interpretation...
He kind of is.
You'll have to ask him, actually, but my interpretation is he's strongly family-oriented, but that doesn't mean if you don't have a family, there's something wrong with it.
Just one last point and then we'll move on. Just one of the bedrock principles of American life is one person, one vote. Senator J.D. Vance has suggested that someone who has children should have more votes than a person who does not have children. I just want to be clear here. Is that the position of your campaign?
Well, no, but it's not something I have ever heard before.
No, it's not something Trump believes, but he's kind of playing coy and is like, I don't know if J.D. Vance really actually said that. Trump then trying to attack Kamala Harris, but it's like these attacks are like nothing. These are just totally flaccid attacks saying, you know, she didn't pass her bar exam the first time. She might fail a cognitive test. That Trump wants the cognitive test up against Kamala Harris seems very dumb.
I said, Joe and I will go and take a cognitive test. Now, I'd do it with her, too. I would do it with her also. You know what? She failed her law exam. She didn't pass her law exam, so maybe she wouldn't pass the cognitive test.
Mr. President,
are you saying she wouldn't pass? Just to be clear,
I'm just giving you the facts.
To be clear, you don't think Harris would
how do you intend?
She didn't pass her bar exam, and she didn't think she would pass it, and she didn't think she was going to ever pass it. And I don't know what happened. Maybe she passed it.
She did pass it.
There's a man over here.
Yeah, I don't know that cognitive tests are what he wants to do against Kamala Harris. And then finally, and we'll get to Kamala Became Black. That was so crazy it deserves its own segment. Finally, this completely bizarre interview ends with barely any applause and Trump just kind of getting up and walking away.
And remember, they're taking your jobs. These people coming in are taking your jobs.
Project 2025.
I think we have to leave it there by the Trump team.
All right.
So leave it. That is the last word. Thank you so much, Mr. Trump, for coming today and joining us.
The audience is just in disbelief.
Well, thank you very much.
They've been telling us.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, very much. Great
Thank
honor.
you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
NEBJ will email about details regarding the conversation with
I
Vice
cannot
President
hear
Kamala
any-
Harris in September. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Oh man, what? So I had a feeling this could go wrong, but it went way more wrong. You know, I don't know that this is going to push up Trump's black support in Michigan from the 0 where it was found to be last week. I don't know that he really achieved that. And then now we are going to look at maybe the wildest moment from the entire thing. Staying healthy is all about sustainable habits, something you'll actually stick to, which is why I've been using AG1 in the morning for years now. It's just so much simpler than messing with a bunch of different vitamin pills and products. And with just a single scoop of AG1, I get the vitamins, minerals, and probiotics I want, and I'm keeping my nutritional bases covered for the day. It's just easy. It's easy. I feel better. My energy lasts longer. In a recent research study, 97% of participants reported feeling more energy after 30 days of drinking AG1. In a recent study, AG1 was shown to even double the healthy bacteria in the gut. It's easy and satisfying to start your journey with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, plus 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first subscription order at drinkag1.com/Pacman. The link is in the description.